Start today, though, talking about the big news that came down last night relative to the Dallas Stars. Jason Robertson is back for the 2026-2027 season, a one-year deal worth $12 million, basically just kicking the can down the road to next offseason, or at the very least until January, which is the earliest that they will be able to begin negotiations again on a more long-term deal. But Robo is back, at least for one more year, and it certainly seems like both sides would like for it to be longer term. They just didn't quite have the money where it needed to be this time around. Maybe they will 6 months from now.
I felt like always the path that this was going to end up at, right? Like Robo's not going to sit out the year, and this made the most sense probably for both parties because it's a one-year deal. It gets Robo to be an unrestricted free agent next year where he's going to be potentially resetting the market if he has a year like he had this past year. And if that's the case, it will make it hard for the Stars to sign him to an extension. But it also gives the chance for the Stars to make a much better offer to him because they're going to have money coming off the books,
Right.
Tyler Seguin's contract, namely. And removing that puts them in a much, much better position to sign Robo long term, and it would be long term. It would presumably be 6 years, maybe go to 7. On an extension for him, and if at that point
the contract in Seattle was going to be 8,
right,
at $15 million a year, and that contract next offseason could be exactly where this thing goes because now the Stars would have enough room to do that, and the salary, not only taking Seguin off the books, the salary cap is going to go up a significant chunk of money as well.
Two factors there, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, he can sign an extension starting in the new year, in the calendar year, in 2027. I just don't think that probably happens at all because so much of this is contingent on the cap going up and Seguin's contract coming off the books. They might have a handshake deal already kind of in mind, but they will likely let the year play out the way Jim and Robo's team let last year play out. They met preseason last year. They're like, hey, focus on hockey, play this year out, and we'll come back together. And it kind of seems like they're going to do that again. The only caveat now is they could trade him midseason, and that is something that I think no one really wants to think about because Stars fans want to keep him long term.
Right.
But you also don't want the threat of him getting a massive $20 million offer by some team and he just has to take it, and then you're left without any option there.
The question boils down to how good this team will be next year. Like if they're sellers at the deadline, then they've got more than enough reason to sit there and say let's move on from Robo and start rebuilding from scratch and start because they've obviously let a couple really nice talents move on and find success elsewhere. The other side of it though is if they are successful. How much more weight do you give Robo and wanting to keep him around? If he's a key cog in that, like we all anticipate him being, if they're going to recycle this back into a deep playoff run, which they had done the 3 years prior, like that's part of the interesting juggle of this, is that as much as this is kicking the can down the road, Robertson's also kind of calling their bluff. It's like, I'm either going to be one of your most important pieces and you're going to get value from me on the ice for one season and then I'm going to get what I'm worth, or you guys are going to trade me mid-season and I'll find a way. But ultimately, like what this boiled down to me was Robertson wanted to stay here. And I think he knows how valuable it is to stick around in Dallas. And I think the team realizes his value on that front. So, yeah, it's and also you bring up the salary cap perspective. I do want to call up the VO2 here if we can, PLG. This is essentially what the Stars active roster looks like, and I realize it's a little cut off here. So this is their cap hit for this year. Mikko and Jason both at 12. Thomas Hartley just slotting in at third is kind of interesting, but at 10.59. Sagan's fourth on the list at 9.85. And he's had a bit of an injury history over the last few years here, which is interesting. But Rope and Miro both at 8.4. Wyatt is basically right behind them, and Jake. These are their top 8 guys as far as a salary cap hit.
There's a whole bunch of bargains on that list.
There are, especially in that lower 4.
Yep.
So...
Yeah. And to your point about them, I can't imagine them being sellers at the trade deadline. I mean, they're talking
It's
about
hockey.
a team.
You don't know. Like
I get that, but we're talking about a team that has stacked
Yes.
consistent success upon itself year over year over year now, kind of almost going. I know there was 1 year where they missed the playoffs after they made the Stanley Cup final in 20, but basically going back to like 2016. This has been a good team, a quality team that wasn't going to be a seller at the trade deadline. This is a team that had the second most points in the Western Conference last year. I don't think that scenario is likely.
I don't either. I will just say this: the thing that worries me about the Stars, just from how they function, is they either have the hottest streak in the NHL, or they will have 3 or 4 weeks where they just forget how to play.
That was this past season, even.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So who knows how much this plays into a factor? I doubt it will. Everyone's got their own business strategy on that front. So I don't think it necessarily will impact them. I'm just saying it does change the calculus if all of a sudden they're hovering around 500 and they have to decide which direction they go in.
But I think it only really matters. I don't think that the record this year matters in this equation. I think what matters is, does Jim Nill believe that Robo wants to be here? And based on what he said today, he does. Will he still have that belief ahead of the trade deadline in January into February? Will he still have that same belief at that point? Because if he does, Jason Robertson is a piece that you would want to be a part of whatever build you have for the future. The only reason to trade him is if you think, all right, this isn't where
he's going someplace
This
else.
isn't where he wants to be, and we're going to lose him for nothing.
Right.
That does not seem right now the way that this thing feels. This feels like two sides that want to remain together and just need to wait out the salary cap looking different 6 to 8 months from now, and then they can hit go on this thing.
Right.
There's a group of Stars fans, and I don't know the percentage, but there are some that are willing to trade him and seem content and perfectly fine with it. And I just completely disagree with that notion. For one simple reason of, you look at his postseason stats, he has been their biggest gamer in the playoffs. The last 9 Stars playoff games, he's got 9 goals and 3 assists. He has shown up when he's healthy. He didn't show up at the start of last year's playoffs because he was coming off an injury or still kind of recovering from it. When healthy in the playoffs, Robo has been pretty much their best player.
Yeah.
And you cannot you cannot let him go to free agency. You cannot trade him when he is, so to speak, your Connor McDavid when it comes to the playoffs. You need somebody to put the puck in the net. 9 goals in their last 9 playoff games. And I understand that both of those series ended with defeat.
That's the question. Is like, is he the product of a system that is, not necessarily funneling, but someone's got to score, right? Someone's got to put the puck in the back of the net. Is he? In other words, are the Stars Spain in this equation, and Oyasarbal is just the guy on the right side? Of it?
No, I don't think that's true, because somebody consistently has to put the puck in the net. And how many times did we watch the Stars over the last few years and we're like, can somebody score? Like, who's going to step up?
Right.
And it's almost
Banging
always
their head against the wall.
almost always Robo.
Right.
And then Wyatt Johnston. I mean, and you can have both. There's this concept of we have to have Wyatt or Robo. No, you can have both. You can, and you can have Mikko. You can make it work. It's going to cost a lot, and you probably have to wait till June?
Yeah.
But you can have both.
I don't dispute that. I just, again, there's enough categorical examples in recent memory, especially in hockey, where a team has moved on from a key offensive piece that has been a huge goal scorer and filled the gap in a different spot. Blue line, for instance, is usually kind of the first place they go. It's like, we're too offensive focused, let's move to the defensive side. I keep seeing that, and I keep seeing it be successful. It's the only reason why I bring it up. It is an example. But to your point, it's like, whether or not it leads to wins, it still keeps you in the game to have him on your roster scoring and letting him be a focal point of your offense. I do agree that he, especially at his age, like if he was 32, it changes the calculus a little bit.
He is underappreciated.
Yes.
I actually do think he is underrated and underappreciated in a NHL lens. I know a lot of Stars fans love him, but I think his contributions, his stats, playoff performances, key goals and key moments, He is underappreciated in terms of a league-wide view.
Well, it's everyone else on the Stars roster practically from the top 6 is a household name in NHL circles. Like Rantanen is going to draw all the kinds of attention. Wyatt Johnston's been compared to every young player known to mankind. Ottinger alone is one of the first 3 names you think of. But that goes for everybody on the Stars roster. When you sit there and think about it, it's like, who are you going to pick? And arguably that's been one of their biggest issues is they keep not having that one person aside from Robo step up. He is the only guy that stepped up in those moments, at least in recent memory, that's done it, aside from Rantanen in a Game 7 situation.
That's what I'm saying. You're going to trade the one guy who was scoring throughout the playoffs while nobody else could? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
He's also the only guy that wasn't on the Olympic roster, so there was a little bit of...
That was exactly what I was about to bring up. I wonder how much of the conjecture around him has been fueled by the decision that Bill Guerin made when he made the Team USA roster. And are there Stars fans going, well, see, he was right because of X, Y, and Z. And Robo did an awful lot to raise his hand and say, no, he was wrong. Look what I did against Bill Guerin's team. But is that, like, are there Stars fans, are there hockey fans that are looking at this and going, is he enough of a two-way player? Is there enough physicality there? Is there enough beyond the goal scoring that makes him a key cog in a team that wins a championship? I'm not suggesting they're right. I'm trying to peel the onion on what they're thinking.
I think everyone in this panel is happy he's back. Yeah. I think that's the bottom line. We like seeing him on this roster. We want him to succeed here because it feels like he's been a part of this Stars resurgence from the beginning. And especially given the banner that he has carried in the playoff side of it, he deserves this kind of a payday, and he deserves a long-term contract with this franchise.
Also, it's nice to see a team draft and develop.
Yes.
Right? Like, a lot of this team has been draft and develop. And if you're just going to resort to just trying to do trades and free agent acquisitions to build a team, that works to some degree, but the Stars have been really good at targeting players and developing them into stars. Keep your stars. Like, this whole thing is a feeder system to develop your top-end lineup for years to come. And just because they get expensive doesn't mean they're cost prohibitive. The fact that he has the same agent, though, as Wyatt Johnston and I believe Mikko Rantanen, he changed to this agent, I think, within the last year. This sets him up in a better position to re-sign, presuming that the agent and Jim Nill are kind of on the same wavelength of, hey, we will get you close to the number. We'll get you close to the market. But if you want to stay a star and you don't have to shake up your life and you can stay here and you can not have to deal with state income tax and make runs at the Stanley Cup, then you're going to have to be a little bit of patience, give us a bit of patience, and then sign. So it's going to be a tumultuous next 12 months or 11 months. Because they could just have to wait this out until summer, but I would imagine there's some agreement come springtime on, how this is going to shake.
Yeah, it's probably not a straight line from here to the extension. It's going to be a little bit of a
his play is going to dictate a lot of it.
Yeah,
and some may bring up, well, he's on a 1-year deal. What if he gets hurt? What if he gets hurt? Unless it's going to knock him out for all of 2027, I don't think it really matters.